Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In this video we will discuss about EC2. So as you can see, I have logged into my AWS console. So here you have to just search for EC2 and you are in this page. So in EC2 you see a lot of options, like you see the instances, you see the security groups and all that. So before that, let me show you the billing thing, since I am using the free tier and most of you might be using it. So you can see I don't have any charges as of now, and I am going to set up an EC2 instance and let's see how much I am charged for that. So here you can see there are few services that I have used, and for that the charges are shown. It's a very small percentage of it that I have currently consumed. So let's get back and let's create an instance. So first thing you have to do is you have to select the uh, you just have to create an instance. So just say launch. Okay, so when you say launch instance, it will come to this page. So the first step is to choose the Amazon machine image, excuse me. Yeah, so just go for there'll be several instances. You just go for the one which comes in the free tier. So that's the T2 micro that you have to select here. You can see there are a lot of options. You can use this checkbox free tier only to select the to show you only the EC2 instances available in free tier. Yeah, so just select for it. So you can see there are a lot of details about the instance. Okay, so and then you see multiple pages like choose instance type. You can see there are a lot of instance types like general purpose, compute optimized, GPU optimized, and memory optimized, storage optimized. So everything is like in case of storage optimized, you will have maximum storage, and like compute optimized will have more CPU. So there are a lot of options. So for us, it is like the T2 micro that is uh, going to be the minimum one since we are using the free tier. So yeah, it specifies that. Then you can see there are a lot of details about that vCPU, memory, and the instance store. So instance store is like it can support volumes, and it's here it is EBS only. So EBS only is you can say there will be a elastic block store that will be attached to it, and that can be reused for another instance. So there's no dedicated instance for this the volume for it. Okay, so number of instances is 1. Okay, we can go for auto scaling group in case you are going to host a web application and you want multiple instances to host the same application. So you can configure auto scaling group right now while creating the instance itself. Okay, so for now let's keep it 1. There is option to request spot instance. So spot instance is, it's like you can use it for testing only or very short duration tasks, because even though the spot instance are very cheap compared to on demand instance, but it can be terminated by AWS at any point of time, so you actually don't have a control on the instance. So I'd rather not select this because I am going to test few functionalities, so I don't want the instance to go down and I have to recreate it, and I have to recreate, and there'll be a lot of options I have to select. So for now I'm not using it. Okay, let's move to the network. So we have a VPC. That's the default VPC. So before creating this EC2 instance, I had this VPC already. So that's the default one. If you want, we can create a new one, but let it be. And then the VPC already had few subnets. To be specific, 3 subnets for all the 3 availability zone. So let's not change it. And yeah, so you must be aware of the CIDR. So for each subnet you'll have IP. Okay, so you want the instance to have an IP, so it can choose from the CIDR block, so any IP can be assigned to it. So that's for the public IP that is going to be used when somebody tries to access the instance over the internet, so they can use the public IP. And the private IP is not shown here, but that is going to be there even if the instance goes down. So the public ID will not be accessible, but the private IP will be accessible. So I'm not going to create a new VPC. Before that, let me just show you the VPC configured already. So as of now, you can see there is the instance is not created, but you can see we have VPC already configured here. So VPC1 subnets 3, because there are 3 availability reasons, sorry, availability zone. Yeah, you can see there's a route table attached to it. Let's come down. Yeah, the route table ID and the routes. You can see there is an internet gateway to this route for the CIDR block 0, so it is not blocking any of the port, any IP, and the internet gateway is there. So this is a public subnet. It can be accessed via the internet. If you want to make it private subnet, just remove the target internet gateway there. So yeah, that's it. And we have the VPC configured here. We have the subnets here. Assign public IP, let it be. So IAM role, since I am using the root user, that's a bad practice actually, but I am just using it. So you can create a new user and you can use it, and then you can assign a role for other users and services to use it. So you can they can access the EC2 instance by if you assign the role to them, they will be able to access it. So you can create a role right now, or you can just leave it as it is. Shutdown behavior is stop, so no need to change that. So here you can see tenancy is shared and run a shared hardware instance. So actually you note that there is instance that is running on a hypervisor. So there's a shared resources that is going to be accessed by all the instance running on the hypervisor. So there's the actual hardware and there's a hypervisor, and you have multiple instances running on that. So all of them are sharing the resource. So that is like having it a multi tenancy hardware or multi-tenancy instance. So yeah, you have this instance storage as EBS only. So There is a Elastic Block Store that can be reused for other instances. For now, it is attached. It's going to be created and it is going to be attached to our instance. Let's go to the storage section. So here you'll have the details of the storage. Okay, the snapshot, and you have an option to add a new volume, and free tier users are they can get up to 30 gigs of Elastic Block storage usage. So we have 8 GB, so we are using it, so we are well within the free tier usage. But in case you are going to create multiple instances, so just go with the minimum, because anyway you're not going to use the 8 gigs, and the volume is also of the minimum configuration. So general purpose is the minimum what you can get, so that's why it is selected. And you can see the option delete on termination, that is selected as, that is unchecked, because if you stop the instance or you terminate the instance, you don't want to lose the files and all what you have created or whatever you have moved in the instance. That's an option, but just be careful, because even if your EC2 instance is down and you have the data in the Elastic Block Store, so you will be charged for that even if your instance is not running. So input output per second, yeah, it gives 1000 and 3000 input output per second, so that's very nice actually. For now we just select the encryption as not encrypted, so we don't want a default encryption to this instance, sorry, to this volume. Point to note here is you can have an encrypted device and you can boot your EC2 instance using that encrypted device or a volume. So add tags is if you have multiple instances, you want to identify which one is what, you can add a tag here, but I'm not going to do that since I'm going to have only one. Okay, security group is very important. So here you want to specify the rules, like how your instance will be accessible. So we have a default or something, we should have it already, that is the SSH TCP protocol, and you can see 0.0.0.0/0, that's the CIDR block. So whenever you see this, it means that it's a block of IP address. Okay, so it starts from 0.0.0.0 to 255 to 55. So it covers all the IPs. So what it means is your instance will be accessible throughout the IP. So you, irrespective of whatever IP you choose from, you can access the instance. So here we have a security group also, and you just select existing security group. So since we have it already, we are going to use that. All ports and all IPs, everything can access this instance. So that is what it means. So yeah, there is an option to create a new one, and if you want to have an existing one, you can use it. So this is the existing security group. So the last step is to review. We have a notification, improve your instance security, your security group wizard. One is open to the world. That is because of the CIDR block in the security group. Since that is 0.0.0.0/0, that means it is accessible to everyone. So that's what you can change it here. Suppose you want a specific set of IPs to access this, like suppose you want the IP from 10.0.0.0 to, let's suppose, everything. So you can start with 10.0.0/0. So from 10 to 255, all the IPs are able to use this instance. They can connect to it. So the security group will allow. To remember this, you can understand the calculation as the -0 is 32 minus the number which you see after the hyphen. So 32 minus 0 is 32, and just take the result and put it on 2 power. So 2 power 32 IPs can access this instance. Okay, just ignore that warning for now. So you can see the image here. Okay, there are details for that. So you can edit this image, and you can specify the hardware which you need. Okay, so T2 micro, and the instance store is elastic block store only. Security group, and the configuration is SSH connections are allowed for TCP, and port is 22. There is no specific role attached to this instance, so that once we start having custom users or IAM users, so at that point of time we'll have to do that. Otherwise it will be accessible only to the root user or an administrator. So here just verify everything and just click on launch. So before AWS actually creates the instance, it will ask you to select the key pair. So this you will already have if you have created another instance already. Since this is the first time I'm going to create an instance, I have to create this key pair. So what are the options? Create key pair. Just from the drop down, I am going to select create key pair, and you can give it any name. But whatever you do, just make sure you don't lose this key pair. This will generate a PEM file, and you have to keep it safe, because whenever you try to access this instance over SSH, you have to specify the PEM file. Okay, so I'm just downloading it in the downloads folder, but I'm going to keep it safe. so that I don't lose access to my instances. Okay, so there's it is like you can download it only once. So once you confirm, AWS will not allow you to download the key pair again. Okay, so make sure you download twice or thrice. Don't just open it because you might lose it. So keep it in your download folder, just keep it safe, because if you are going to lose it, so there's no option to recover it. Okay, so you can see the message from AWS also. So this is what you're going to be using it uh, to connect to your instance using PuTTY or any other SSH tool. So instances, okay, it will take some time to start the instance. Okay, so it is actually configuring the hardware. Actually the hardware is already there. So in the hypervisor it is going to create an instance, because we are using a multi-tenancy hard instance. And yeah, the instance is charged for the time it runs. Suppose it runs for 10 hours, so you'll be charged for that. So what AWS is asking us to create a billing alert, so in case you are getting charged more, you can take appropriate actions. So this is the free tier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to once my work is done, I'm going to terminate this instance to save the cost and uh, stop AWS from charging me. So yeah, you can see here there are a lot of options. Okay, create and attach additional EBS volumes, so that is chargeable, but you will be charged only if you are using more than 30 GB. That is what was specified earlier. Okay, so these are the monthly charges. So once your month is over, again you will be in the free usage zone, so you can keep using it, but limited. So it will take some time to start this. Okay, there are some status like running. Let's go for the billing first and let's see how much. So there is one thing about this billing, it doesn't get updated immediately or as soon as you create something. So you have to spend some you have to wait for some time, and then you have to come back here, and overall you should be having an idea, right? So what are the services that you are using? Like for me, I have used S3. So as many times I put objects in S3 bucket or download objects, so that is how they charge me. So for now it's idle, I'm not using it. So let's go to the services EC2 and then let's see whatever instance we have created, what's the status of that. So yeah, you can see there is a running instance here, there is a volume here, there is a security group, there is a key pair. So let's check out our running instance. Elastic IP is 0, dedicated host is 0. So this page, you can use it to monitor your instance also. Let's say you have stopped an instance, and then here if you see a running instance, that means your instance is not stopped and you may be charged for it. So to see more details about the instance, we'll just click a running instance. can see here there is the status is green, it's running. We have disabled the monitoring because we don't want to be charged for that. We have a security group here. Okay, so this is running in US East 2B, so that's the availability zone. Make sure whatever instance you have chosen and whatever volume or elastic block store you are using, so both of them should be in the same availability zone, because it can be in the same region and by mistake you have created elastic block store in one region and EC2 in another, so you cannot use it. So let's see how we can connect to this instance. There are multiple options. SSH is one option, or I can say the best option. You can use the browser console to access it. You can access it using PuTTY. So if you are familiar with PuTTY and you would like to use it, go ahead and do that. You need to first convert the PEM file into a different file using the PuTTYgen tool. So here I am just going to use the browser to connect it. It is not the best way, but just for demo purpose I am using it. So yeah, you can see it is connected. I have a public IP and a private IP. So public IP is what I am going to use it to connect to my web application, or if I am going to use Route 53 for domain name mapping, this is the IP I am going to give. So let's check out some commands. pwt is working, so it is, yeah, it's like a Linux machine. Let's create a folder and let's put some files and let's start the instance. Let's start a server. Let's start a Node.js server in this instance. So let me do that. We'll take a break here. So guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.